Hi there, welcome back to Journey of a Metalsmith. I'm Tim. This is my workshop, the Silver Atelier. It's great to have you guys here. I've got two products, boxing wax and some moldable wax, that I want to discuss with you today. Things that are going to be really useful in times to come, and I wanted to share them with you and get your thoughts on what you could do with this stuff as well. I'm going to show a few examples of what I've sort of thought up of what I can do with it, and yeah, it would be great to hear from you guys about it. Being knife makers and being jewelers, we're quite a resourceful bunch, and we tend to take products like this and really use them to their maximum. So yeah, let's have a look at what we've got here. Thanks for tuning in. So the products that I want to talk about is this wax over here. It comes in strips. It's fantastic stuff. You get two strips of it. It's really moldable, it's easy to work with. You can do a lot with it, which is really fantastic. You can, just thinking off the bat, you can do a lot with it in terms of making bracelets, rings, that sort of stuff. Two of the applications that I work in mainly is knife making and jewelry making. And one of the things that I like to do particularly is make interesting things out of wax, and this stuff kind of gives you a lot more flexibility. Some of the options that you have with this stuff, I mean, look at how moldable it is. You can mold it with your fingers. You can use it for fixing trees when you cast to your casting containers or canisters. When you're fixing the trees to the bottom of them, it sticks really nicely. When you can mold it with your fingers, it doesn't take long to actually warm it up and get it all moldable. You can also use it for spraying too, which is great, and also filling up holes and stuff like that in wax castings. You can take tiny little pieces off of it, and it really does. It spreads really nicely, and it doesn't get a sticky mess. The only thing with this stuff is that you can't cut it with the piercing saw. It gets really sticky. Use tools and stuff like that. Anything with a lot of heat, it kind of turns into like a gooey mess. So it's really great for molding things. Yeah. So one of the things I want to try out with this is that one of the things that often comes to me is people want their birthstones set into a setting for a pendant or either for a ring, and I've got a birthstone here. It's a dolomite. And often these come to you as a jeweler with interesting shapes like this, and setting these things is really quite difficult sometimes, because getting the claws around it and stuff like that, it can be something that's quite intricate and iffy, and it takes a while. And this kind of, I think, saves some time with it. So let's quickly have a look at what we can do with this dolomite and turn it into something that can be cast and then set around it again. So I'm going to take some of this wax. I think we'll need about half of it, so it's not too thick. So we'll take some of this bit over here. We'll just smooth it out, get a nice flat surface on it, and then you can get a rustic setting. So this is something that's really quite cool, and because it's moldable, it's really great. So I'm just going to flatten it out here. I'm not going to do much in terms of finishing. This is just an example of what I can show you what can be done, and then I'm going to roll it around in certain places so that you can get setting with it. So you push it around the stone as you would as you were setting it, and then you can cut bits of it off and leave it in and leave them on. So leave them on and open it up, and then take the stone out, and then actually go and cast it, which is cool. So let's quickly try and do that. Let's see what we can do here. So we want one at the top so that there's strength in it. Just cut it with a craft knife. This one is really inexpensive. My local supplier, Cape Watch, has a lot of these sort of things that are really, really great. So let's have one at the top. We'll cut something around here. It's really easy to work with this stuff. It's really quite nice. I like it. Just leave some sprue, or leave some claws, or sort of cut claws in. I'm doing a sort of rustic feeling sort of setting to it, which is quite popular these days. Just so that it kind of looks like you've you've melted your metal around it. And I mean, what you can even do then is you can melt the wax too, and make it clump up so that you've got more of a melted looking feeling, like you've poured molten silver over. And I mean, you can sculpt it and stuff like that, which is really fantastic. You might want to at some stage either put a little bit of oil on the metal on the stone that you're working with, so that it's easier and it doesn't stick, or you can just leave it to cool down, and when the wax cools down, it gets nice and hard, and then it makes it easier just to sort of take it off. So something like this, nice and smooth, you can smooth it out and work it as much as you want, and you can put patterns in it. I've just taken a bronze rod, and you can draw on it nice and easily. It makes it really nice. You can put a signature on it. You can actually put your name in it if you want to. It's really, really great for that sort of thing. And then so we've got the stone in there, and then just peel it off, and it comes right away. So you've got enough in terms of size around the stone, which is great, and you can work it really nicely. Open it up gently, and then take your stone out, and then you've got something that you can actually go that fits in the backing and everything like that, and you can go and cast that. You can use this to actually put sprues on, that sort of stuff, to go and cast, which is cool. You've got control with in terms of how thick you want the material to, and you can add to it and stuff like that as well, which is really great. So I mean, it's fantastic stuff. This is just a silly example. I mean, there's so many other applications to it that you can use it for. Other things that, I mean, you can use this for dentists and stuff like that. I think that would be great for the dentistry application. You could definitely use it for making impressions and stuff like that. This stuff takes a pattern really well. It's not very sticky. You can let it cool down and then put a pattern in it. But it's really nice to work with, and I'm sure, I mean, you can see how I'm playing with it here. It's like Play-Doh. It's really, really great stuff. You can do a lot with it. Another cool thing which I see is like now as I'm playing with it, is that it takes a fingerprint really well. So if you press it down, you can see a fingerprint. And I see a lot of people wanting fingerprint rings. So say for example, here we go. Say this is a hard wax in the blue wax that you normally get. That you've made it. This is just a wooden one that I use for cuttlefish casting. I actually push this into. I make a wooden ring first, very old school. I take a wooden ring and then I push it into an old cuttlefish, and I do cuttlefish casting like that. But let's for the sake of this tutorial, say it's a wax. It's a wax blank that you're wanting to cast for a client that you've cut out, and you've got your patterns and stuff on that, and it's quite nice and hard. But he wants his partner's fingerprint on it, or his own fingerprint, or anything like that, or any sort of impression. This is the great thing about this stuff. You can mold it around it and get it nice and smoothed out. You can use your fingers or any sort of tools that you may have to do so. And really get that nice, get a nice sort of feeling, get a nice sort of thin top pattern on top of it. You can cut it off nice and easily, make it nice and neat, and then whatever they want to put an impression of in it, they can do it. And if I want to put a bezel on it that I want to set a stone into, that after it's cast I can actually cut the bezel nicely and then get it up to scratch to set a stone into it. Again, pretending that this is the blue wax or green wax that you've carved into. Make a little sausage, nice and thin, see if you can get it nice and even as well. And then on the top of this, you can set it around, get it stuck down, and that'll obviously leave you leave metal after you've cast with to actually cut away, and then you have a bezel that you can actually set a stone into, which is really great. It saves you time if you've got blanks already and that sort of stuff, or if you've made something that you don't want to actually cut into it, but you want to just raise it to the top. This is obviously very rough and rustic, but time spent doing it will save a lot of time later on, which is really great. The other thing, another product that they have, which is really great at Cape Watch, that I picked up and I thought it was quite awesome, and I picked up a few strips of it, is this boxing wax. It's a similar sort of stuff. It's moldable. Let me get a piece that I've cut off already. Say you want to do an overlay on a sterling silver band or a gold band, and you want to do a rose gold overlay over it. You can cut a strip of this stuff. It cuts really fantastically. I mean, look at that. It's nice and easy to cut. You can cut your strip, and then you can cut your overlay into this. So say you're doing a scroll pattern or whatever. I'm just going to cut a few things into here, I'll just do some basic triangles just to kind of show you. But I mean, it's really workable stuff. You get different thicknesses of it too. You can cut your patterns into it and really finish it nicely. It cuts really well, and you can use this. I would think I've seen a lot of rings that are done in CAD where they're 3D printed like this. But I mean, you don't need it. You don't need that sort of stuff anymore. There's a lot of technology that's become available like this stuff to be able to do something like that, which is fantastic. I mean, this stuff molds really nicely. You can you get it to the size that you need it. Just clean this up here quickly. You get it to the size that you need it, and you can wrap it around your mandrel or whatever to the size that you need, and then actually overlay it on the ring. Make sure that it's nice and that it matches up really well. So you've got your scroll pattern or whatever pattern that you want in here. You can cut it. You can cut it any way you want. You get different thicknesses of this. So I mean, and then you once you've cut it on the ring itself or drawn on it or whatever, you can straighten it out, sprue it up again, and then send it to your caster and have it cast. And then when it comes back in that annealed state from the casting, you can cut your sprue off and then wrap it around the ring, solder it in, and Bob's your uncle. You've got a really nice overlay on a ring. I mean, right. So back to the moldability of this stuff. We've got this pocket watch that I got from my partner, and it's broken. So we're going to show you how it can transfer over. And I was thinking about using this stuff. Obviously you can get different thicknesses of it too, so you can actually make the inner casing that actually holds everything together, and then the front and back sections. So I'm going to do a quick one on the back section here. You've got a really pretty pattern over there, and then I want to transfer that over to the wax, and then turn it around. So press it in around the thing, around the back of it, and then dome it back again. So it'll have the impression on it, and then turn it around and dome it back again. Obviously, with some care and stuff like that, you can get some really good results. I'm just quickly doing this as just to show, like a show and tell sort of thing. Let's cut a size that we need. Really quick and easy to cut. Going with the craft knife, you can use a box cutter, an old pocket knife from your grandfather, or whatever. Comes off really nicely. Let's warm this piece up. You can use a hairdryer, use a bushy flame, you can use a lighter. It's really up to you, but just don't melt it. Just get it a nice warm, fuzzy consistency that you can mold it. So let's place that on. Give it a firm press, lift it up, just mold it around. And the great thing about this is that it takes an impression extremely well, and you can actually see it takes the impression as you're pushing it in and getting it molded, which is great. So obviously this is going to be a negative impression from it, but I think you won't really see the difference when it's actually cast. The negative impression you can actually blacken then, and then you have that show through in black, and the rest can be polished, and you polish the high spots up. So that's the idea that I'm going to do with this. So we've got that impression in there. I mean, look at that. That's it. Really takes on a nice. It really takes on the pattern. Let's see if we can get this to focus on here. Oh, there we go. So you've got that pattern in there, and that's fantastic. You can now either take some scissors or whatever, or again with your craft knife, and just cut it out nice and neatly on that line. And then obviously you've got, depending on what exactly it is you're doing. With me, I'm going to do a tutorial on actually doing the final fine silver, or sterling silver of this watch for my partner. Cut it off nicely. I'm obviously just doing this quite quickly just to show you, to get to everything. And then got your pattern. You warm it up again from the back. On warm days you won't have a problem with this because it'll mold really easily. We've got quite a lot of cold over here at the moment, and then you can obviously dome it around. It doesn't lose the impression when you turn it around, which is great. And then you obviously do a nice. You can shape it really nicely and put it in a doming block or whatever to get the nice size, and you've still got that impression on. And then you can go and cast it again, which is great. This stuff is fantastic. I really enjoy it. Another thing that's quite cool, you've got different kinds of settings. You can actually make baskets and stuff. I know a lot of people struggle to make baskets, actually cutting them on rings itself in the wax. So I mean, you can use this to make your basket up for a setting, which is really cool. And this is time-saving stuff right here. So let's make a quick basket for this over here that we can then later attach to a blue wax or green wax that we've pre-cut out. Attach it on, and you can attach it on with a little bit of heat, whatever. This is obviously, again, it's just a quick tutorial that I'm showing you. Let's say we want to do a box around this. We can do that. We cut the appropriate size of the stone. Obviously, I haven't cut and measured, but if you cut and measure it nicely, you can get something really something great here. So do that around there. And I mean, say for example that's your box. You can push this stuff into a collet block to get your perfect shape. So I don't have a collet block that fits the stone, but say you've got a round stone like nicely. The cool thing is you can push this stuff around to the thickness that you need it, and also get it to join up nicely. Let's put that in again. There you go. Take it gently off here. Obviously, I'm doing a quick tutorial here on this stuff, so I mean it'll give you this is just to give you ideas. But I mean, then you can check your stone size and get an exact fit on it. Join everything up nicely. So I wanted to join this. I like to use either a pin or something that I've made, like this bronze rod here. Just give it some heat, and then you can join things together quite nicely, which is fantastic. And it joins and it solidifies quite nicely, and it solidifies to the same consistency that it was before, which is cool. So you can join it on the outside and the inside and really mold it up nicely. And if you wanted to cut it to size, you can cut it to size, fit everything on it. You can even cut strips. So say now we wanted to put our claws on here, and let's do a claw. And this is really easy stuff to cut. So we want a nice rectangular claw. Obviously measure it up nicely first, and then get the sizes. Let's get 2 claws out of here. Then you can overlay it, pinch it down at the bottom, and you can get your claws set in here, which is fantastic as well. This saves time when you can't actually sit down at your bench and bench make. You can quickly put something together, and I say quicker than sitting at the bench, and then send it off to your caster or cast it yourself, and it's going to be a lot faster, and it'll up your production time, and also you get a really great product. So I mean, yeah, if I wanted to add that in, I've just warmed it up. You can use a pin, just warm it in there. Put your claw set on here. I'll obviously put another 2 in. This is very rough collet, but once you've cast it, you've got everything in place, and you didn't have to bench manufacture it, and you've saved a lot of time having to do that. So that's really cool. But thanks for tuning in, and thanks for having a look at what I'm doing here. There's plenty of applications with this in the knife making world, in the jewelry world, in the dentistry world, and obviously in the craft and hobby stuff. You can do some really good stuff with this. Mix it with Delft clay and cast it yourself even. That's fantastic as well. Delft clay really takes a nice impression too. So there's many options with this stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link at the bottom of the video, and Cape Watch's contact details, because they actually stock this stuff, and you can go and pick up some from them in different thicknesses and consistencies and stuff like that. Speak to the guys there, speak to Chad, speak to Conrad, speak to Tennille, and they'll give you advice on